Photo by Andrew Liptak. The Verge. It's November, which means that winter is well on its way. It's a good time to curl up on the couch or a comfy chair and dig into some of the books that you've been meaning to read. I recently interviewed horror author Joe Hill, and he discussed some modern-day horrors on social media and technology as it related to his new book, Strange Weather. Even though Halloween is now behind us, fall is a great time to pick up the book. It includes 4 short novels, Snapshot, Loaded, Aloft, and Rain, each of which delivers a solid, terrifying premise. They're also all engrossing reads, with vivid characters sucked into terrifying circumstances. I read nearly the entire book on a single train ride, and it made the miles fly by. There are other good reads coming up this month, too. Here are 16 books hitting bookstore shelves that you should check out. November 7th, Image Tor Books, Valiant Dust by Richard Baker. Author and former U.S. Navy serviceman Richard Baker is kicking off a new military science fiction series with his latest novel, Valiant Dust. In the far future, gunnery officer Sikander Singh North joins the crew of the Aquilon Commonwealth starship CSS Hector, the only Kashmiri crew member. When the Hector is dispatched to quell a planetary revolution, he's forced to prove himself to his crewmates, as they deal with troublesome planetary leaders and try to figure out who is arming the rebels behind the insurrection, all while coming under fire. Places in the Darkness by Chris Brookmeyer. A space station called Ciudad de Cielo, the city in the sky, floats above the Earth as a symbol of humanity's progress and bold steps into space. Life on board is a different story, however. There's a dark criminal underworld that's ignored by officials until a murder takes place. Station police officer Nikki Fix Freeman is in charge of the investigation, with by-the-books officer Alice Blake assigned to help. As more bodies pile up, both realize that there's more than gang violence behind the crime spree. Steal the Stars by Nat Cassidy. For the last couple of months, Tor Books has been experimenting with storytelling through a new imprint called Tor Labs. Its first production is a podcast story called Steal the Stars, in which a security officer named Dakota Doc Prentice guards an alien spaceship in a top-secret facility and hatches a plan to steal it. Tor is now releasing a novelization of the series, written by one of the cast members, Nat Cassidy. This book isn't a script that's been polished up as a cash grab to get reluctant audio listeners to buy the story. It's a full-on novelization that stands on its own. Image Orbit Books. The Rule of Luck by Catherine Cerveni. In 2950, humanity has spread throughout the solar system, with colonies on Venus and Mars. Felicia 70 makes her living in this new world by reading tarot cards. Blacklisted from having a child, she goes to some shady figures to try and get around the restrictions, only to get the attention of a crime boss, Alexei Petrov. He wants her to predict his future, and when she does, she finds that there's trouble ahead that will pit them both against the overbearing Trisystem government. Kirkus Reviews says that the book has a well-crafted world with a promising heroine. Jade City by Fonda Lee. In Fonda Lee's first installment of a new fantasy trilogy, a group of clans vie for control over their island nation and its supply of jade, the source of power that enhances their magical abilities. For decades, there's been a delicate peace on the island, but with a new generation of leaders, that peace is beginning to break down, and all-out Godfather-style gang warfare is looming. The Barnes & Noble Sci-Fi and Fantasy blog says that the book has a world that will be hard to forget. Image Tor Books. The Sisters of the Crescent Empress by Lena Licatalo. Lena Licatalo published The 5 Daughters of the Moon back in July, marking the first installment of a duology inspired by the 1917 Russian Revolution. Its follow-up, The Sisters of the Crescent Empress, hits bookstores this month. With the death of the Crescent Empress, the Crescent Empire has been torn apart by civil war, and the 5 sisters, Alina, Meryl, Sibelia, Elise, and Celestia, have been captured by Gagurgy Pratislav and his great thinking machine. As they contend with their exile and make plans to escape their confinement, they stumble upon ghosts and mysteries in their prison. Publishers Weekly says that Licatalo's emotional and lyrical dark fairy tale will give readers plenty to think about. Communications Failure by Josiah. Josiah made his debut last year with the comedic military science fiction novel Mechanical Failure, where an ex-sergeant named R. Wilson Rogers was recalled back to the Interstellar Navy as it prepared for war. In Communications Failure, Rogers has unwillingly climbed the ladder to become the acting admiral of the 331st Meriden Fleet. Now in charge, he has to face off against an enemy fleet that's moving under suspect intelligence and miscommunications, leading both sides to accidentally start a war. These books have been compared to Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and Publishers Weekly says that the book's highlights include a droid undergoing an existential crisis, a pilot obsessed with flashy maneuvers, a zookeeper determined to become a spy, and Rogers himself, an engineer who never wanted to be in charge of anyone. November 14, Image Saga Press. Dark Deeds by Mike Brooks. Mike Brooks published his debut novel Dark Run last year, following Ichabod Drift's crew of smugglers and mercenaries of the starship Keiko, where they were hired to bring a mysterious cargo to Earth, no questions asked. Its follow-up, Dark Sky, brings the crew along on a new mission to the Rasvet system, only to get caught up in a revolution. As Dark Deeds picks up, the crew has failed that last mission, and their client isn't happy. When Drift's second-in-command is taken hostage, they're forced to raise the funds to get her back. Publishers Weekly recently gave the book a star rating, saying that the action is fantastic, and that Brooks has assembled a great group of characters. City of Brass by S. A. Chakraborty. S. A. Chakraborty's debut novel is the first of her Diva Bad trilogy, set in Cairo in the 18th century. A young woman named Nari makes her living with palm readings and other tricks, but is forced to question her beliefs when she accidentally summons a jinn warrior named Dara. He tells her that magic is real and powerful, and that she's been threatened by an evil jinn. She must make the long and treacherous journey to a mysterious and legendary city known as Diva Bad, where she meets fantastic creatures and learns unexpected secrets about her heritage. Kirkus Reviews gave the book a star rating, calling it a highly impressive and exceptionally promising novel. Image Tour Books. Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. Oathbringer is the third installment of Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive series. After the events of the last book, the ancient enemy of humanity, the Voidbringers, have returned, and the only ones who can save the planet are the recently restored Magical Order of the Knights Radiant. If you can't wait for the book, Tor.com is posting the first 32 chapters of the novel online. Sanderson has 7 more installments planned, and China-based DMG Entertainment has optioned this series to build a massive film franchise and has been using VR to pitch the project to prospective buyers. Creatures of Will and Temper by Molly Tanzer. Molly Tanzer's latest novel is set in a Victorian-era world, inspired in part by the picture of Dorian Gray. Evadne Grey and her younger sister Dorina travel to London to stay with their uncle, Basil Hallward, who grieves for his deceased lover. Evadne would rather focus on fencing than watch her headstrong sister, but the pair are soon drawn into a secret underworld populated by demons and diabolists. Only Evadne's skills as a fencer can save them. Publishers Weekly says that Tanzer's gorgeously portrayed three-dimensional characters and sensual prose propel this smoothly entertaining story to an emotionally affecting end. Image Orbit Books. Beyond the Empire by K.B. Wagers. K.B. Wagers' Indran War series comes to an end with Beyond the Empire. Following the assassination of her parents and sisters, former gunrunner and smuggler Hale Bristol has returned home to become the Empress of the Indran Empire, fending off attempts to remove her from the throne. Now, the Empire is under attack from all sides, and she's prepared to defend it with all-out war. Publishers Weekly gave the book a star review, saying that it's a satisfyingly thunderous end to Hale's quest for vengeance. Artemis by Andy Weir. Andy Weir scored an incredible hit with his debut novel The Martian, which was then turned into a major blockbuster movie. That's a tall order to top with his second novel, Artemis, a crime thriller set on the moon. This story follows Jazz Bissara, a smuggler on the moon's only city, Artemis. When she's hired by a billionaire to commit some sabotage, she finds herself drawn into a bigger plot for the future of the city. Related. Visiting Andy Weir's Lunar City Artemis at New York Comic-Con. At San Diego Comic-Con, Weir told The Verge that it was pretty scary to follow up The Martian, but said that he hoped people would find it to be a good read. November 21, Winter of Ice and Iron by Rachel Newmeyer. In Rachel Newmeyer's new epic fantasy novel, Princess Kehara Rayuma is the heir to the throne in the peaceful land of Haravir. To save her people, she reluctantly marries a brutal ruler from a neighboring land, to ensure that her land is safe. Hundreds of miles away, Innisfinet, the Wolf Duke of the Horror, dreams of freeing his own people, and when Kehara arrives, there's an unexpected opportunity for both to save their worlds. Publishers Weekly gave the book a star review, saying that it's a tense story that focuses on its characters and the implications of its world-building. November 28, Image Tour Book. Starfire Shadow Sun 7 by Spencer Ellsworth. In August, Spencer Ellsworth published Starfire, a Red Piece, a military science fiction novella about a half-breed human star navigator named Jockey who accidentally acquires an artifact that gets her targeted by the leader of a revolution. In the next installment of the series, Jockey and her companions Ariskar and Z are on the run from everyone. With a bounty on their heads, they have One card to play to earn their freedom. They know where to find a supply of desperately needed pure oxygen cells. Getting help from some unlikely allies, they get ready to break into a facility on the edge of the Dark Zone. Mass Effect Initiation by N.K. Jemisin. Earlier this year, Titan Books announced that it was bringing on an exciting new group of authors to pen tie-in novels for the Mass Effect franchise, including Hugo Winner and N.K. Jemisin. Mass Effect Initiation follows Lieutenant Cora Harper, part of the Asari Commando Unit Talon's Daughters. She finds herself out of place on Earth and ends up joining the Andromeda Initiative, a massive colonization project that will bring humanity to the Andromeda Galaxy, as Alec Ryder's second-in-command. When a piece of essential and dangerous technology goes missing, it's up to her to recover it. Jemisin is the author of the brilliant Broken Earth trilogy, and I'm excited to see what she does with this world.